Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Merry Christmas everybody. I hope you're having a great day. This is our Manchester United versus Newcastle preview. I don't even think I fit this jumper anymore, but I tell you what, the turkey doesn't help. But look, I want to just say as well, just to start off with, the United Stand community sort of transcends Manchester United fan base because you're either part of the United Stand or you're not. Some people don't want to be, some people do. But I want to say on Christmas Day, because it's a great time to say it, what a year it's been. We've been past 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Website's been launched. We've had our first meetup in London. Lots planned in 2020. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know a lot of you get it, but I know some people don't as well, that every single one of you, wherever you are in the world, you contribute to what this community is. We don't always agree. That's the whole point. It's fan opinion. You're meant to disagree. You're meant to agree. You're meant to half agree. That's what it's all about. But we have a great community, and abuse is kept to a minimum, which is great, or it's deleted altogether. We have something very, very special, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I think all you should be as well. So I hope you're all having a great day. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, I hope you're having a great day. And here's to 2020. And I just think, you know, on a personal note, banter, everything's great. But, you know, I think the great thing about this community is that there's a lot of love. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but there's a lot of love. There's a lot of camaraderie. And it matters to people. So, yeah, just keep making it matter. Let's get into this then. Manchester United versus Newcastle. Big game. We're live tomorrow, of course, with the watch along. You can join me for that. Cold turkey sandwiches and beer sounds great. We've got to win. We've got to win. And the interesting thing about Newcastle is they don't concede many goals. That, you know, Steve Bruce is doing a great job with a team that many felt would get relegated. And we are 8th in the Premier League. Don't tell me about it. But they are basically 8th as well. They've got the same amount of points as us. They've just got a slightly worse goal difference, which, to be honest with you, we've been feasting off that 4-0 win against Chelsea since the opening day. That's why, when we're level with people, we're normally above them, because with that 4-0 result, just gives us a little bit of a bounce. So Newcastle and United are actually on the same amount of points, which I don't know whether that means Newcastle are overachieving or we're underachieving. Well, we definitely are underachieving. So, look, how do we approach this game? Well, we've got to win it. I'm not going to predict we're going to win. Just straight away, as a Christmas gift to you lot, I'm going to say we're going to draw, because every time I say we're going to win these sort of games, we don't. We should win. And in all seriousness, I am going to predict a win. I'm going to be brave, because we're at home. We're at Old Trafford. We've got to beat Newcastle. They beat us at their place. We've got to give them some back. We've got to get some pride, Ollie. We've got to get some fight into the team. And that's what I expect. I'm fed up of this. In the future, we'll be good. It's fine margins. Well, I tell you what, it's Old Trafford, it's Boxing Day, we're doing absolutely shite this season. They beat us at their place. How's about we grow a pair and absolutely beat them and start bloody doing something with a backbone, which is what Manchester United's always had. So let's go and win this game. Let's not talk about jinxers. Let's not talk about these are the sort of games that we bottle. Let's go out there and do it. And I don't understand why this is not a running theme through the squad and the coaching staff. Why is this not feeling that I'm giving out and feeling right now going through the players? Let's go out there and and play with some bloody pride. You know, we're Manchester United, for God's sake. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a win. I'm going to go 2-0. But I think a lot of that's going to be dependent on how we do this. And it's very important. I mean, let me just say this. We're in 8th, Newcastle are in 9th, and Burnley are in 10th. And 1 point separates us all. And we're playing Newcastle on Boxing Day. And 2 days after, 48 hours actually, we're playing Burnley. So this is always a very interesting time of the season, isn't it? Because you play 2 games in 48 hours. You can't pick the same 11 twice. It's impossible. So you've got to manage it. And it's not ideal for United. This is why losing to Watford was a bad thing, because you can't go all in against Newcastle, because then you leave yourself open to get beaten by Burnley 2 days later. And how will Burnley approach their game? Will they focus on the United game, or will they focus on their Boxing Day game more? We've got to be careful here. And I think this is why I've gone with this team on the left, because I think this deserves to be the team. But I also think that we've got to be very careful about that Burnley game as well. And let me just say, Boxing Day, 48 hours Burnley, 3 days later Arsenal, 3 days after that Wolves in the FA Cup, 3 days after that Man City in the Carabao Cup. So there is a lot of squad use required, and we don't want to burn people out, and especially people like Paul Pogba and Fred and McTominay, who are very important to us. We've got to manage it. So this isn't as simple for Ollie. This takes a little bit of tactical nous in relation to who you use and fitness levels, because you can't pick the same 11 against Newcastle and then pick the same against Burnley and then pick the same against Arsenal. He's got to manage his squad. We've got 3 games in 6 days. So how he does this is how I would do this on the left. And as I said before, and I hinted about it in what Ollie got wrong on Monday, I would scrap the 4-2-3-1. We're at home. We've got Pogba back. Matic needs to play in this game to give Fred and McTominay a rest for Burnley. I would drop Matic in to that one holding midfield role. I would play Pogba and Pereira box to box. And I would play Martial, Greenwood and Rashford with Dan James on the bench to be able to play it against Burnley. I would play Williams at left back. You can play Luke Shaw against Burnley. I would play Twansebi with Maguire because you can play Lindelof against Burnley. But also what this does in the safety of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford, Brandon Williams suits him. He deserves to play. I would play him. Twansebi, I think, long-term, needs to play with Maguire or Lindelof, one of the two. We need the pace of Twansebi. Lindelof and Maguire look terrified together. They don't know who's going for the ball. They don't know who's going for the header. They haven't got the recovery pace. Twansebi's got it. I would play Twansebi with Maguire. Of course, the big problem is, what about Ashley Young? We know he will probably play. I wouldn't play Young. Mata, you could find a way in, but I think Newcastle is I hate to say this, but the more likely result is Newcastle. Burnley away is a tough game for us. And do you keep Pogba back for Burnley, or do you play Pogba against Newcastle? I think you take the 3 points against Newcastle and you play Pogba. And I think Burnley take care of itself. Can Pogba play 90 minutes against Newcastle and Burnley? I can't see how he's going to do that. And we need Pogba for Arsenal as well. So for a man who's been out for 3 months, do you give him half an hour against Watford a few days ago and then play him for 90 minutes against Newcastle and then 90 minutes against Burnley and then 90 minutes against Arsenal and then 90 minutes away against Wolves and then 90 minutes away against Man City? He's going to have to miss some of those games or at least be on the bench. So I would play him against Newcastle, have him on the bench against Burnley and have him fresh for Arsenal. We've basically, look, to be honest with you, the dream we had about top 4, we've messed it up. By not taking 6 points against Everton and Watford, we've now drifted to 7 points behind Chelsea. And even if we beat Newcastle and Burnley and Arsenal, we're still going to be quite a way off top 4. We might get another chance, but for now, top 4 is looking hard. So we've got to manage this squad, and we have become a cup team, and that's what we are. So we've got to be very, very careful about how we do it. And Wolves in the FA Cup away is a game I'd be thinking about being strong in. And the Carabao Cup against Man City, I would be thinking about being strong in. Do Newcastle pose as a threat? I suppose Newcastle will approach this game very similar to how they did at St James's Park. They will sit back, they will look to hit us on the break. We know this, it is known, and that is why Pogba's very important, because if we don't play Pogba, we're going to be the same team that struggled for the last 3 months to break teams down. We're going to be McTominay and Fred with a number 10 that don't work. Pogba in the team gives us a little bit something, and that's why I would definitely play Pogba against Newcastle. And if he doesn't play against Burnley, he doesn't play against Burnley. And if we drop points against Burnley, well, we've dropped points loads this season, haven't we? But it's definitely a game that we need to win. As we go ahead, look, I think one of the big things that many people want to talk about, and it is Christmas, and I don't really want to be talking about it Christmas Day, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future. He has survived the Newcastle game. I predicted that. I think if he wasn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United legend, he'd be gone. You can't have this start to the season. You can't lose to the crap that we've lost to, and still be prancing around talking about future and time. He doesn't deserve that. He should be gone. But the thing that keeps him in is this belief that we're going to build something under a legend of the club, and I hope that can happen. But it's also important to say he's on the brink again. He is on the brink again. Actually, factually, before the Spurs and Man City game, I knew, and a lot of people knew, that if he lost those 2 games, he was sacked and Pochettino was coming in on the Monday. That was going to happen. It didn't happen because he got 2 very good results. He's now drew with Everton. He's embarrassingly lost to Watford. He's on the brink again. I wouldn't say he's as close to the sack as he was ahead of those Spurs and City games, but United have sort of backed the man, and then it's backfired a little bit, because when he beat City, it was like, well, we'll spend money in January, you're here till the summer, we'll spend a bit more. They're now in this situation whereby, oh right, he actually hasn't turned a corner. He really is a little bit inexperienced and might not be good enough. But we've got to commit to giving him money. I don't know, but I will answer honestly what it would take for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be sacked. I don't think he's going to be sacked, by the way. If he loses to Newcastle, I don't think he'll be sacked. If he loses to Newcastle and Burnley, he might be sacked. If he loses to Newcastle and Burnley and Arsenal, he's gone. But might not be, because then it's January the 1st and they might sign players. United is such an embarrassment at the moment because they're sort of ignoring the way we play. They're ignoring the results and stubbornly sticking with this philosophy they have and thinking, let's buy this person some players as well and it will improve. I don't think it's going to improve to the levels we want it to. I still think we're going to be Mr. and Mrs. Inconsistent. I think we are going to drop points when we shouldn't, and I think we will win games where technically we shouldn't. So, and I think in the summer, will we in January see something ridiculous like a brand new contract for Paul Pogba? It wouldn't surprise me. I think it's sort of like the unhappy marriage, isn't it? Where you have moments of happiness and you swamp each other with ridiculous gifts to show the world what a great relationship you've got. And I think getting Pogba to sign a new contract and stay would be, wow, look at us, we can flex our muscles. But it would very soon transpire and fall into the reality of, well, actually Pogba's right to want to go. He has been inconsistent at United. We haven't built a team around him. He would be better off elsewhere, and so would we. But the sensationalism of going, look at this new contract we've got, look how powerful we are, would be something United would love to do. And it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. And I wouldn't surprise me if we did it in January to cover up the fact that we're not going to sign midfielders. It's an interesting few weeks for Manchester United. It's an interesting few days. I think that we will not be in a situation... I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will still be our manager in May. So that means that over the next few weeks, we will acquire enough results for him to keep staying in his job. Maybe we will lose at Arsenal. Maybe Man City will embarrass us over two legs. But maybe in between that, we'll go and get a point at Anfield. We'll knock Wolves out the cup away. We'll get wins against Burnley and Newcastle. I think we're going to be inconsistent. I think that's... I know it's not the end of the year show or anything like that, but it's Christmas, and Christmas comes around every year, and you sort of look at the past year. And I think over the last year... Ollie was just starting his journey this time last year, and we were still on the roller coaster of a really positive start. It's been descending, and we've had a few little bits of high points, but generally we've been descending down and down. I think stabilisation would be nice, consistency going up would be nice, but I don't see it. And I think, I don't want to talk about the Watford game, but what worried me about that is people like Marcus Rashford, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Scott McTominay, ridiculously reliable this season, hard workers for the team, found wanting against the team that's bottom of the league who wanted it more. They were shown to be human. I think they've been three of our better players this season, but they were shown to be human against Watford. And that's worrying because they've been superhuman at times, and they showed that they are human and that they can be outdone by an opposition. And I think as we go into the back half of the season, we know that United are susceptible. You know that they're human. You know that they're going to have bad days. And I think that is a problem until, as I said last night on the transfer show, we need to buy. That's what January needs to be. Ideally, I'd like to see United win tomorrow. I'd like to see them beat Burnley. I'd like to see them beat Arsenal. I'd like to see January come. I'd like to see us sign players whilst we're playing in the cup games and start acquiring more points in the league. I think top four was gone 2 or 3 months ago, I think I said. But 7 points isn't unattainable. We don't deserve top four, but it's not unattainable. But it's whether United can go and do what's required to do it. I think Pogba back is a big, big thing. He's not Superman. He's not, he's not the best player in the league. But our midfield has got nothing. And with Pogba in it, it has something. So I think Pogba can improve us. I think we've got players that can score goals. But I still worry about teams who want it more. And I would put Pogba into that. Pogba's been on the pitch when we've lost silly games. I think Pogba was there against Everton, wasn't he? 4-0. Did he play against Cardiff? He's definitely been on the pitch when we've lost in the past. He's as susceptible to this weak mentality that United have as anybody. And those results will come again. But I just hope. Christmas is a time of hope. And I just hope United can find some consistency and some bounce again. But hope really isn't a word that Manchester United have had to rely on for a long, long time. United are a big, big club with a big, big history and a big fan base, the best fan base. We've got a lot of money, and we should be flexing our muscles and not relying on hope. You know, Bournemouth rely on hope. Manchester United should rely on power, you know, conviction, strength, not hope. And I think too much of the last few months has been about hope and not flexing our muscles. And that's lazy for a club like us. Anyway, look, I'm not going to keep you away from your Christmas dinner or your Christmas festivities. Get out, have a good time. I'll see you tomorrow live for the watch along. I'm going to go with the United win, and I'm going to go with the United win because I'm strong, and so are you, and so are you. And we're Manchester United at Old Trafford, enduring a shite season with Newcastle coming to town, who beat us at their place. We owe them one. We owe our fans one. We owe Manchester United and who we are one. We've got to start fighting, and we've got to stop fighting amongst ourselves and start being United and actually representing what United's all about. Instead of playing at it, I feel like United are a bit like a pantomime. It's not the real Manchester United. Every now and again they get their lines right, but most of the time they look like strangers. We've got to start being Manchester United. We've got to start understanding what Manchester United is all about. And I think too many of them are just like, well, maybe today I'll turn it on, but maybe I won't. And we need to turn it on. As I said, if I could have one thing for Christmas, it would be Roy Keane at 25 at that midfield, kicking everybody up the arse and showing them what this club's all about. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Merry Christmas. As I said, I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll be live tomorrow. And thank you to every one of you. You all make this channel what it is. I'll speak to you tomorrow.